Here are a bunch of things I wish I knew way sooner in Windrose. You can shoot trees from your ship with your ship's cannons, then jump onto that piece of land and grab yourself some easy wood. You can change your ship's point of view with the F key to zoom way out to a further third-person mode. It feels so much better most of the time. If your friend doesn't have a blueprint or crafting recipe for something that you do, craft it for them, and when you give it to them, they will have that blueprint unlocked now too. If you really can't spare the resources for it, you can craft it for them to get the schematic for it, then they can just destroy it to get all of the resources on it back. As long as you don't upgrade it. Scrapping weapons and gear gives you back the resources that you used to craft them, but not the resources that you used to upgrade them. The same goes for things like ship upgrades. If you purchase a cannon blueprint, hull upgrade, or anything like that, which we'll go over the best ones and how to get them in a minute, drop it for them and they will earn that schematic as well. Pretty much any item in the game that can be dropped and has a blueprint can be dropped for your friend and they'll get that crafting recipe too. One resource you'll find yourself needing pretty often is clay. To get clay very easily, you just need to walk around any island along the border of the island, just barely in the grass, a couple feet away from the sand. So start on a beach of any piece of land, walk just into where the sand transitions to grass, follow that around the island and you will run into clay in no time. Each piece of land has tons. Well, really it's probably just the coastal jungle areas mainly, the starting biome. And at the start of the game during the tutorial, they are all marked on the map of your starting island, showing you where these clay deposits are. You can bury your own treasure or hidden containers using a shovel if you want to send a friend on a treasure hunt or just want to keep a greedy little pirate stash to yourself. It's a lot easier to raise and flatten the ground back down if you do this on a flatter piece of land than I am here. If Dr. Galen ever disappears, like when your quest says to go speak to him and he's nowhere to be found, just open up your bonfire and click settle to settle him to your base. He tends to unsettle whenever you move the bonfire. You can fast travel from your ship. Just get on your ship, grab onto the helm, and now you can open up your map to fast travel. You just have to be steering the ship. This is such a gigantic thing, I wish I knew way sooner. If you're ever across an island and your fast travel point is on the opposite coast, you can just call your ship and use that to fast travel instead. This video is sponsored by Ludio, which allows you to play games from your web browser for free. You don't need to own the game, you don't need to sign up or log in, and you don't even have to download anything. I was a little skeptical at first because I mean, cloud gaming hasn't exactly been that impressive, but it's actually pretty crazy, man. The idea is that anyone like I or game developers could record a gameplay clip, then share it, and the only thing that you need to do is click on it like the ones linked down below to play that gameplay clip for yourself. The catch to it is that these games are advertising their games to you by just allowing you to play a small snippet of it. You can use it to just mess around with games that have already partnered with them to see if you like it before you buy it. From a RoboCop, Rogue City, Company of Heroes, Redacted, and Ludio is in beta right now, so there's still more to come. It's honestly pretty dang cool, and I mean, it works. I had no interest in Redacted until I gave it a few tries on there, and it's actually a pretty fun game. RoboCop I already knew was a fun game. It's actually really addicting to play it on there. Company of Heroes, before I played it, I had zero interest in this game, but it actually was kind of fun just trying to complete the objectives that it gives you, which all of the levels that I played, the objectives typically involve you eliminating enemies within a certain amount of time. I really think this is what cloud gaming should have been used for this entire time. It works for everyone. It lets you try out games before you buy them, and it lets game developers advertise their games for free by just allowing you to play a small portion of it. Almost like a game demo. So yeah, you should click on my link down below to go play some of the games that are listed on Ludio for free. Thank you to Ludio for sponsoring the video. Of course, if you followed the tutorial quest, a fast travel point can be built in the build mode, which you enter by pressing the B key, and that fast travel bell can be crafted at a workbench with copper ingots that you smelt at a furnace. Before I knew that you can fast travel from your ship, I was just carrying around a couple of fast travel bells with me everywhere, which is still super helpful and I recommend doing that so you can place them down whenever you've come to a faraway place that you'll want to come back to. Plus I usually keep a bell on me as a portable fast travel point so that once my inventory is full, I can just throw that down to fast travel back to my base, put that stuff away, then fast travel back, and now delete that fast travel point to continue looting and exploring. This is super easy to do since deconstructing a build gives you all of the resources back. You don't lose anything. This is also why it's not so bad that you can't move things that you've built. You just have to destroy them and then place it back down wherever you want. At first, the copper that you need for some of this stuff, the weapons, gear, and pretty much everything, feels kind of hard to come by, but just about every coastal jungle island, the starting biome, has a cave, marked with a pickaxe icon, which contains copper that you can mine with just a stone pickaxe. You can set fast travel points near each one of these if you want to, wherever the closest beach is next to that mine, and these caves respawn with ore every 6 or so real-life hours. Sleeping does not seem to speed that up, but if, say, you didn't play the game for 6 hours that day, it seems, at least to me, that the caves will respawn with ore after about 24 hours regardless of how much you were actually playing. You can enter build mode at any time and don't need a bonfire to build. That means if you're mining and all you have is 4 wood, you can build and place a torch. So take wood with you into every mine and light that thing up. And I don't think many people even know these torches exist. It is a lot easier to craft these torches than filling up your lantern at a workbench, and the torches do not need to be refilled. So you just keep your lantern as like an emergency light and use torches the rest of the time. The same goes for getting copper or iron ore off of the ceilings of caves. I often forget that this is a building game and not just a pirate survival game, especially for like the first 20 hours of gameplay. I would just leave these ore in the cave thinking you had no way to get them, wondering why the developers put these so high up. Which, like, if you're ever exploring like the ancient ruins, you can use this same thing to just skip any of the traps that you might come across in there. Building is also insanely useful for dealing with enemies. You can use them as a barrier to get some hits in, or trap them in there like a little prison, which is even more useful if you're exploring some late game areas and don't want to necessarily deal with the enemies right now, which these guys respawn anyways, and you just want to loot the chests. Hey. Iron is found in similarly marked caves as copper with that pickaxe icon, except iron is found in the Foothills region. The caves are generally more open, and you can also find iron very rarely along some of the rocky mountainy areas in the foothills, but you're going to find most of your iron in those caves. Hardwood can be found in the foothills as well, in random hardwood forests, or really, the hardwood trees are actually called divvy trees, but they clearly look a lot different from the regular trees. You can't really miss them. They have their own patches of forest over here, and the easiest way to find hardwood is to run to each point of interest in the foothills area, and if that point of interest is filled with pirates, typically they're there to chop up all of the hardwood. You might find stumps that you can chop up, or some hardwood inside of that point of interest that they chopped down, which you can also chop that up and steal it yourself. But typically there will be divvy trees in an entire hardwood forest somewhere just outside of that camp. A lot of people think that trees don't respawn, but no, they actually do respawn, they just don't respawn if they're near a bonfire. If it's within a bonfire's range, it seems like they just don't respawn. Otherwise, it seems pretty similar to how things like copper ore will respawn. You can craft timber at a workbench as long as you've collected hardwood for the first time. If you've collected hardwood, you will have the timber schematic. It costs 3 hardwood for every 1 piece of timber. Another huge thing I was wondering how to get was Millstone. You unlock the schematic for gunpowder after collecting sulfur, which you can do now that you have the iron for the iron pickaxe, and there's plenty of sulfur to be found on those rocky areas in the foothills, as well as even in the jungle biomes. But the Millstone is a tool that you can place down at your base in build mode. To unlock it, you first have got to find corn, which you can also find in the foothills. Corn can be found at these points of interest, marked with an icon that looks like crops, primarily the ancient farm, but also the ancient village.
You gotta dig, dude. Take out your shovel.
Collect the corn and then return back to your base where you can now craft millstone parts out of just plain old stone. Now you just gotta do this at a workbench. You only need 1 millstone part to craft the millstone. Pull out build mode and select it, place it down somewhere with a roof, and now you can use sulfur to get gunpowder. By the way, if you don't know how to get to the foothills, you can come here by following the main story quests and defeating the first boss, which is the way that the game wants you to progress, but you can also find a foothills island even earlier through side quests like Sacrificial Lamb, or just go out randomly exploring until you find it. I would just show you the locations, but the maps in this game are procedurally generated, so your map and islands won't be the same. The only thing that seems to be the same are what's inside of those marked locations on those islands. You get the Tumbaga Ingots that you'll need for some of your weapons and gear upgrades by searching ancient ruins. Those marked locations and points of interest on the map that might have you complete a puzzle or use a rope to go underground, but you might realize once you loot all of these locations, your Tumbaga Ingots are done for that character. As of now, your only real choice is to create a new character and re-loot those locations with the new character. Progression is tied to your character, not the world. If you join another world or start a new world with that same character that you've been using, the points of interest, chests and containers and all of that will be looted already. If you create a new character, you can start a new world, go to a friend's world, or use the same world that you've been using on the other character to collect those chests again, particularly the ancient ruins for the Tumbaga Ingots, rush through the enemies, trying not to fight them and just avoiding them to open the chests, and then place those items into a chest for your other character. And oh yeah, if you get to anywhere where you think there's even a small chance that you might die, just place down a tent and press E to activate it and set it as your spawn point. These are so insanely cheap to make, just set it down before fights, especially if you're in a harder, higher leveled area. The key to defeating harder enemies, well, besides having better weapons and gear, is to parry. There technically isn't really an actual parry in Windrose, but there is a perfect block with a similar concept where you press it just before getting hit, where you'll see this orange ring pop out, and that block will not waste the armor or shield icon that keeps you from blocking when they're depleted. Instead, it helps break the enemy's shields or posture, leading them to become stunned once they're depleted. This feels a lot easier to do with smaller weapons like the rapier, and I highly recommend getting used to doing this. So yeah, that's what posture is. It's represented by those shield icons for both you and enemies. They deplete when you block attacks, and like I said, perfect blocking makes it so that you can block incoming hits without wasting a posture point or shield icon. Instead, it helps to break the attacking enemy's posture. Once you or that enemy's posture is broken, they'll be stunned and just have to sit there and watch a sword come flying at them. The thing that I was trying to figure out for a little while was what the heck is Temporal Health? Some weapons and items mention Temporal Health, but that's about the best explanation you get. Well, if you didn't know, when you get hit, you'll see a portion of your health not yet gone, but just slightly darker. That darker, semi-missing amount of health is the Temporal Health that you can earn back by hitting the enemy who hit you. And you've got about a 5-second window to do that. Hit them back, and you get your health back.
Ooh, you dodged it. Nice.
It's always good to have potions on you to instantly heal, but even with endgame level health, bandages will still nearly 100% heal you up. The catch is that it takes time to heal. Plus, I didn't realize this for a while, but the bandage stops healing you if you get hit, so yeah, just don't get hit. It also doesn't hurt to place down bonfires near the tent that I mentioned placing down before big fights, since it's also cheap, gives you comfort, and also heals you. When you're sitting in here next to a bonfire, you automatically heal. Comfort is huge for boosting your stamina. You get comfort by standing within the range of a bonfire. It won't give you a gigantic comfort bonus and stamina boost at level 1 comfort, which is indicated on your screen when you're near the bonfire within its range, but as you place more items in build mode that grant comfort, you will level that bonfire's comfort up to, in turn, give you a bigger comfort bonus for when you leave your base, which gives you a bigger and bigger stamina bonus depending on what level of comfort your base or bonfire is at. Most comfort comes from placing a decoration of each category in your base within that bonfire's range. You level up your comfort 1 time for having an item from each row. It'll say in the description of that item that it gives comfort if it does. It's always good to head back to your base when your comfort meter on the left is low. The bonus from it is huge. And I mean, that isn't very hard to do since, like I said, you can just call your ship in the water and fast travel to anywhere, including your base. But if you don't want to go all the way back to your base, you can just set up a temporary camp in like any location and then destroy it all afterwards since you get all of those resources back. The only thing is that you need those resources, but most of the decorations, plus the bonfire, tent, and all of the stuff that you need to make a temporary camp are all super cheap to craft and only require plant fiber or wood. If all you need to do is regain your comfort meter, just toss down a bonfire, set a bunch of decorations there, and then destroy them. In Windrose, you level up and get XP in a couple of different ways. You gain XP from completing quests and quest objectives, and you also level up from fully looting marked areas on the map. Once you find every lootable container, the map icon will say 2 out of 2 or however many searchable chests or containers there are, and finding all of those will reward you with XP to start leveling up. So the fastest way to level up is to explore any of the islands that you come across, by sprinting to those question marks that pop up, the points of interest, and fully looting the chests or containers there. Really, you level up the fastest by following the main quest and other side objectives that you get along the way, and hitting any of those islands on the way to and from those objectives to fully loot the points of interest. Just do the quests and the points of interest on that island that the quest was on at the same time. But that is pretty much it. Leave a like and subscribe for more Windrose videos, and thank you to Ludio for sponsoring the video.